Hey, welcome back folks to the channel. I hope everybody's doing great out there. So about a year ago on the channel, I did my first video, I think it was, on the Elite app. It was called Brilliant but Flawed. That video has been very successful for me. It's done over 10,000 views. And usually to this day, it still pulls in about 30 to 40 views on average a day. So now that we're a year down the road, I wanted to go ahead and do an update video, because the video also attracted a fair number of comments as well, and also kind of different things I learned along the way and my experiences and such with the press. So just wanted to do kind of an update video and go through a couple of those things and address them, and just kind of see where we're at today a year down the road. So one of the things that came up in the video, in that video, and then also some of the other Elite app videos I did, was that people had noticed that these guide rods here were totally loose. It was something I had never really, I just thought it was just the way the press was or whatever, because right from the get-go with the press, these were always loose to where you could pull them right out. So whenever I used the press, they would kind of move up and down and stuff. But it didn't really affect the function of the press at all. But like I said, people had kind of pointed it out to me, and I had also taken note that the bottom of these, and right now it is screwed in, the bottom of them was threaded for some type of nut. So I don't know if it was supposed to be done at the factory or somehow it comes like that in the box and those screws just got missed or whatever it was. But that's just kind of the way it always was. So I did a bit of research online and was finally able to find a picture of what it looked like underneath the press, to what kind of screw it was, which is some sort of, you use like an Allen key or whatever. These black screws, I've used them before for different things. And so I've got this big board that has all these different sizes on it of all these different bolts. And so you can take something like this and screw it in, and then it'll give you the size to kind of look for. So that's what I did. And I sourced two screws for that, and then just went ahead underneath there and went ahead and screwed them in and all that. So I'll have to check to make sure they're nice and tight. But anyway, so got that sorted out. So if that was an issue, that's no longer a problem. The other thing that I have noted with the press as well, and you'll see, like for instance, I saw a thread recently on ar15.com, and I'm not a member there, but I happened to do an internet search and pulled up a thread, and a lot of people had, the same issues that I had, and there's, there's all sorts of different people out there that have run into all these little issues with these plastic pieces and sliding on the track and things not clicking into place and all that. And everyone kind of comes up with their own little way of dealing with it, sand this and polish this and cut that and use this oil or that oil or whatever it might be, use graphite or whatever. And what I have kind of found actually over the past year of running this through another 15 to 20,000 cycles is that it seems like these plastic parts, the more they wear in, the better off they are and the less issues you have. And I started to kind of notice this throughout last year as I was using it, to a point where I just haven't had any big troubles with the track overall. It's not really given me too many problems, and I'm still using the original one that I've used for a while now. Then the other thing too, along with that, like for instance, this riser right here, I hadn't really used this before. And so whenever I first started using it the other day, it was giving me a bit of issues with drag up here with the cases coming down. But then I noticed as I started to kind of use it more and more, it just seems to be kind of wearing in. So that seems to be one of those things with this press, is that with these parts, we're tempted to kind of fiddle fart with them and try to make it all work at the beginning, because we run into those issues where it gets hung up or whatever it might be. And fortunately, the thing that I've kind of found over time, it just seems like the more these parts get used, the more they just kind of wear into what they're doing. And I've had much less in the way of issues over time. The other thing too is that the feed mechanism here, this is one aspect where I think there's a lot of room for improvement. Now, I looked out there online to see if there's some sort of, update or somebody's come up with something for this, and there has been some people that have worked on some stuff with 3D printing, but I've not yet seen a commercial solution out there where basically I can go and buy something off the shelf, to basically change this whole system up. So the one thing with it is when you're setting it up, you just have to kind of use the wing nuts here and adjust it up or down, and then basically use the coin, as Lee tells you to do, to set the height properly and all that. And it's not too bad, but I definitely could see there's some definite room for improvement there with that. The collator bowl, that's kind of hiding there in the background, I still use that a good part of the time. You are going to run into issues with cases that end up upside down, and when that happens, you do have to watch for those, because once they get down to here and they drop down, they have a tendency with the spring pressure and all that, because the case is reversed basically and there's no rim or anything to kind of hold it, it will launch itself and go flying 20 feet across the room. So with that, what I just try to do is that if I do make that goof with that collator bowl where one ends up upside down in here, you just have to watch it and just catch it when it drops down here to reduce that issue. The other thing too is that, and this has been something that Lee mentioned way back in 2020 after they put the press out, is that inside of here, go ahead and take the the shell holder just fell out, and the reason for that is I've taken the spring out of there. So that was one thing I think where a lot of people have had issues, is that inside of here there's a spring that puts tension on this little metal kind of, I wouldn't really call it a ball, but it's kind of chamfered, this piece of metal in there, and it kind of holds it where it actually holds the shell holder in place. But the problem a lot of people were running into, let's get that back on there tight, is that with that shell holder basically, is that shell holder with that spring kind of putting tension on it, a lot of times you'd run into issues with the case kind of jamming up against the shell holder, and then you'd get jams right here, and you'd have to kind of, basically it would jam up right about there or so, and then you'd have to kind of force it home like that. I'm sure anybody that's owned this press has run into that problem. So the thing is, and this has been mentioned, Lee has talked about it and all that, essentially this spring, this is the spring right here that's inside of there. So it really, at the end of the day, it's kind of superfluous to have that spring in there, and that if you take the spring out, it just allows the shell holder to sit there, rotate around where it needs to, and then also you just don't have that upward pressure kind of pushing it up. And then, like I said, you run into those issues where a lot of times the case trying to feed in there into the shell holder ends up getting jammed up. So for now, what I've done is I've just taken that spring out, and I'll just put it over in my Lee app box and keep it. If for some reason I feel I need to put it back in there in the future, I can, whatever. But for right now, it's definitely functioning better without it. Now, I've set this press up right now for 38 special. Previously, as I was using 9mm, and that's another thing with the shell holders, and just like the other parts, it seems like the shell holders, maybe when they come off the production line, maybe they're a little bit rough or whatever it might be. But whenever I went to use my 38 special 357 Magnum shell holder the other day for the first time, we were definitely having issues with this, trying to get the case into the shell holder. And so the shell holder is one of those things where probably with this one I need to give it a little polish or chamfer or something like that. And it was giving me enough issues to where I was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to take that damn spring out. And I did, and the problems for the most part, mostly they went away. Still had a little boo-boo here and there where it was getting jammed up, but without that upward pressure on that shell holder, I think if you take that spring out, probably you'll find it'll be beneficial. That's what I found. And it's easy to do. There's a picture on the Lee website. You basically just stick a screwdriver in there a certain way, and the whole thing will pop right out. But as you just saw, whenever I took it out, once you do that though, there's no spring tension holding that shell holder in there, so it'll just fall out. So, that's no big deal really. But just kind of be aware of that. So, anyways, overall the press is given good service. I think it's a pretty good product overall. I think Lee was trying to do something different out there. For those of us that do a lot of brass prep, and especially like me, I like to have my brass looking brand new. So things like decapping before I clean, things like that. This really speeds up the process. And also too, when you're doing smaller projects where you don't want to get your progressive fired up to do it, like right now I'm doing these 38 special, however many cases I have, 250, 300 cases. I can bang, 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 and knock these out and resize them and then expand them real fast and then move on. And, it's just when you're dealing with case prep and stuff, this is just the force multiplier. And it just saves you so much time because you can just knock through the stuff so fast. So pretty good product overall. I think, like I said, Lee was trying to kind of come up with something different. I do think that, there's probably, some room there to kind of tweak this and make it even better. But, overall for now, I think, if you can kind of be aware of the issues and how to kind of work around them, and also to give everything time to kind of wear in, and also get everything here set up right and set up properly. In general, things move along pretty good. Whenever I was swaging 9mm, I was doing like 6,000 cases, and just really, one after the other. Probably the only thing there was just cases that would end up upside down that would give me the problem, or an odd 380 case that had been snuck in there, which that's why I try not to let people shoot 380 on my range, because it's too easy for that stuff to get mixed up in there with my brass or whatever. So anyways, a pretty good press overall. It's still working, still running like a train, and I think also too for the price point as well. Basically, by the time you buy everything, including even if you buy the stand for your bench and stuff, you're probably in for no more than $150. So for any reloader out there, I think it's pretty common sense thing to have, and it's been good for me, and I look forward to using it more. So stay tuned. We're going to be doing more videos with this. So right now we're in the middle of a 38 special series, but we're also going to be doing some other stuff soon. One of the things I'm going to be doing is actually 32 ACP. So we're going to try to do our 32 ACP on this and see if we can get it to work. And also let's see, what else do we have? 357 Magnum, we'll probably do that. And also we'll finish up that 38 special project as well. So more to come with this, and also too, I've done rifle resizing and stuff with it as well. So if you want to see that in the future, you can let me know, and I'll file that away for, just kind of, future memory if people want to see that or whatever. But anyways, great press, and hope you all enjoyed the video. Stay tuned, a lot more coming up here soon, and we'll see you then.